Okay, Lauren, I see it's exactly 1 o'clock, so why don't we get started?
Sounds good.
All right, my name is Mark Werwath. I'm the director of the MEM program, Master of Engineering Management here at Northwestern University. I want to welcome you all. This is an information session, basically an overview of the program, mostly targeting potential applicants to the program, people who might want to pursue their MEM degree here at Northwestern. Both part-time and full-time opportunities here. So full-time students can choose between a 9 and 15-month program, and part-time students can easily take from 3 years to 5 years to complete the program at whatever pace they like. Most of our courses are offered in the evening. Our courses are on ground, and next year we expect to be both on ground and online. So anyone who needs hybrid delivery, we will be able to accommodate hybrid delivery. So with that, let's get started. The agenda for today, we'll do some introductions. We will talk about why people would pursue an MEM degree, why do it at Northwestern, what does an MEM Northwestern curriculum look like? So we've got our curriculum laid out here. What's the student experience like? What kind of career services are offered, and what are the requirements for admission? From that, we'll also entertain some Q&A at the end. And also, if you have questions, you can certainly send them to us by email. The email address is shown at the bottom, mem@northwestern.edu. All those who apply to our program will get the $50 application fee waived by mentioning the fact that you attended this session. So this session gives you the dual purpose of learning about the program and getting your application fee waived simultaneously. The program staff I'm very proud of. We've got some great people. Abby Shea, Senior Associate Director. She's not on the call today, but she's got at least 9 years of professional program management experience and what we call the OPE, the Office of Professional Education. She's been managing portfolio programs and staff for at least as many years. Sarah Mitchell's our Associate Director. She manages MEM, MSIT, and MSIA programs. She's got several years of experience here at Northwestern, most of it in the MSIA space, but she's also done a lot of work with MEM. And the support staff behind them, Lauren Jones, who is on the call today, is a program coordinator, as I mentioned before. You can see all the things she does on the right-hand side, along with some help from George Nejba, who's our program assistant. So we've got a very robust staff. The typical enrollment in MEM at Northwestern is somewhere between 50 and 100 students. So you can see basically the kind of support levels you can expect. Right now, we're running a little bit low because of COVID. We're looking to next year to being a kind of a bumper year because all the deferred students from this year are likely to come next. So we'll have a relatively large class next year. My background, I've got 30 years of experience in engineering, almost all of it in new product development, companies like Motorola, where I also ran factory automation, process streamlining, optimization, and robotics. But I also did product management for new product development. I ran PM offices. I built PM offices from the ground up. I ran business operations on the engineering side. And I was also at Northrop Grumman running programs there, well over $100 million in programs. Electronic countermeasures is what ECM stands for. I also worked at WMS Gaming. That's not up here, but WMS Gaming makes slot machines for a variety of markets, both domestic and international. However, my job here is a very different one in the sense that I'm focused on the MEM program alone. And in that sense, we accept only the best students, and it's my job to make sure of that. So we are selective. We're as selective as most first-tier MBA programs. So you don't come to MEM thinking, well, it's an easier program to get into. Unless you're comparing it to Harvard or Stanford or MIT, it is not necessarily easier to get into. My other job is to keep the curriculum current and relevant, to network students to the community of seasoned professionals, to stretch students beyond their comfort zones, and to develop technology and engineering leaders. So we're going to push you to go beyond perhaps what you think you're capable of or anything you've ever done before. So who are we targeting? We're targeting STEM professionals, right? So these are people with engineering or technology degrees and undergrad backgrounds, as well as experience in the field. Those who want a systems perspective. They want to apply engineering concepts and analytic tools to solve real business problems. Those who strive to be a leader in the C-suite of a technology-oriented enterprise. Also engineers who want to start a technically oriented enterprise. So the entrepreneur, or those who want to innovate within their own companies, also known as intrapreneurs. So we target all of the above, and frankly, we do require experience. So if you have zero experience, I would recommend you accumulate some before you apply to the program. Or there are other programs out there, such as Duke and Dartmouth and Cornell, that don't require experience, and you might want to check them out as well. The U.S. Department of Labor reports that engineering managers represent the third highest paying profession if medical professions are excluded, and meaning that we're behind chief executives, computer and information systems managers, and architectural managers. So we're basically in the top three. According to BLS, right, employment is expected to grow 6% from 2016 to 2026. And I think you've already seen some of that now, since we're halfway through this period, with easily close to 200,000 engineering manager jobs alone in the U.S. So significant growth, significant opportunity. How are we different from an MBA? Well, we focus on students that want to leverage their technical backgrounds, their backgrounds in STEM. Those who want to become what we call the T-shaped engineer. The T-shaped meaning the horizontal across the top, meaning they have a broad base of knowledge in business, as well as one deep vertical expertise, whether that's mechanical, electrical. We've had chemical engineers, we've had civil engineers. People who are T-shaped basically bring value to the organization by having a good generalist understanding of how the business operates, but also has one area of specialty that they can leverage and bring value to the company. We're technology focused, right? So the curriculum more aligns with today's business needs that combine technology and business skills. Courses, these are all offered by world-class either engineering school faculty or technology-oriented practitioners. So where the typical MEM student might have 5-6 years experience, the typical faculty member has more than 20 years experience and will be more than likely in the C-suite themselves. We have several who are CEOs. We are faster to complete, 12 courses versus more than 20. It is distinctive, right? Meaning that it's more of a niche. The MBA has become so ubiquitous that there's probably a dozen schools in Chicago alone that teach high quality MBA programs, at least a dozen. There's only one that teaches MEM, and that's Northwestern. So in that sense, you're going to see probably a 10-to-1 ratio thereabouts. If there's 200,000 MBA graduates every year, there's something like 3,000, maybe 4,000 MEM graduates in a typical year. Okay, why at Northwestern? Well, MEM at Northwestern is all about whole brain education. So the left brain, right brain, soft skills, hard skills, technology oriented, analytics oriented versus, communications, arts, things like that. So that balance, which represents really the balance that, world-class companies like Apple Computer, Amazon, Microsoft try to achieve, right? We have a balance of Northwestern faculty and local industry. We are based in the industrial engineering department. We interact with other great resources at Northwestern, such as Kellogg School of Management, the Farley Center for Entrepreneurship, other professional masters, of which there's at least 10. And if you're not familiar with them, you should at least check some of them out, especially if MEM does not appeal to you. We have a master's in product development. We have a master's in information technology. We have master's science in robotics. So we have a great variety of master's programs within the School of Engineering here at Northwestern. We have great student competitions. We have an industry night. We have networking opportunities. We have roughly 2/3 part-time, 1/3 full-time. That mix changes from year to year. So that's not necessarily a forecast for next year. That's just our historical average. We are one of the top tier MEM programs, meaning we're part of the MEM PC, which is the consortium of MEM schools across the US that are considered top tier. And we're probably the only one located in Chicago. And we're one of the few that's located in a major metro. So Yes, you can get an MEM degree in Dartmouth, but you're pretty far from a major metro. So I mentioned earlier, we're part of the IEMS department, right? IEMS, Industrial Engineering Management Sciences, ranked 4th amongst US industrial engineering programs. I believe that's at the graduate level, and that's for the year 2020. We have a fantastic undergrad program with about 100 students every year. World-class PhD program that graduates our PhDs to places like Dartmouth and Cornell to be world-class instructors and faculty members. Besides MEM, which we're talking about today, we're also housing something called MSIA, which is Master of Science in Analytics. If you're interested in being a data scientist, MSIA is probably one of the world-class programs for becoming a data scientist, bar none. But that's not what MEM is about. MEM is about blending management with technology. It's about applying analytics to solving business problems. Our curriculum is 12 courses, basically 7 core, 2 advanced engineering methods, and 3 electives. I'll go through those in more detail in slides to come. But we're on the quarter system. So if you just do quick math, you can finish this in 3 quarters, obviously by taking 4 courses per quarter. That's probably the fastest anyone could ever get through this program. And I don't normally recommend it unless you're in a huge hurry. For most full-time students, a 15-month program where you take fall, winter, spring, and then you take summer and do an internship, come back in the fall and finish up 1 or 2 classes, perhaps at the same time continuing your internship from the summer. That's what I would really recommend as probably the fastest I would ever want to go through this program. We include marketing, finance, accounting, leadership, and engineering management in the core. That's part of our core curriculum. Unlike an MBA where you might take 2 or 3 accounting classes, multiple finance classes, we consolidate what you need. So in the case of accounting, we have both managerial, we have both types of accounting in our accounting class, as well as all types of finance that engineers will need buried inside the finance class. We are known for our flexibility, right? So we can tailor this program to meet your needs. If you want to take 1 class at a time, if you want to take summers off, if you need to take 2 quarters off in a row, if you need to double down. I've even had students finish the program from another city, and they had to actually take some courses online to complete the program. So we try to be as flexible as needed, knowing that your career is in flux and it's probably quite dynamic. We've had students get promoted, part-time students get promoted multiple times, and sometimes those promotions require a relocation. We get it. We understand the needs of corporate America, so we try to support that with as much flexibility as possible. So you will hear of some programs being a cohort program. We are the opposite of a cohort. We are kind of like the uncohort, right? The only thing that's cohort really is the core, where all of your fellow students will take exactly the same courses, maybe not in the same sequence, right? We're pretty flexible about sequence as well. Engineering management, however, is our gateway course. You'll most likely take that this fall or whatever fall you start. And the gateway course is really a simulation of running a business. So in that course, you're teamed up in small teams of 4 students. You are running businesses and competing against other teams in the class. You're making real-time decisions about how to run your business, staffing, product mix, investment in R&D, investment in marketing, timing and sequencing and all of that, which is the essence of running a business, right? Between accounting, finance, marketing, decision tools is really an operations research class. It's the OR application for managers. That is probably the signature class for this flavor of MEM. As you look at other MEM programs across the country, they don't all focus on OR. They don't all focus on analytic techniques, okay? But they focus on other things. So it's really up to you to find the right fit and the right program for you. But 407 is really kind of the signature class that makes this a uniquely Northwestern MEM. Leadership and org behavior, we have a world-class faculty member there, very engaging. She's helping you develop your voice as a leader, right? Not studying leadership historically, not looking at other leaders so much as looking at you as a leader and how you can develop yourself as a better leader in the future. The capstone course, I think of it as a macroeconomics course, really understanding how macroeconomics impact the business and all the decisions you make. So it kind of builds on the gateway, but it goes in a different direction to say, okay, now that you understand how business should operate, let's look at the environment that surrounds that business to see what might be impacting that in the future. So this is the core. All students take these 7. In addition, you have the choice of picking 2 classes from this list. And we've got a pretty robust list here. I personally teach the project management class. We have Burju Shah, who teaches the product management class out of Silicon Valley. Right now, he's based in San Francisco. He dials it in. So this is a remote class for the fall of 21. I'm hoping it'll be on the ground in subsequent quarters, but fantastic class, very popular, very well populated. In fact, Kellogg students come to us to take that class, right? The rest are self-explanatory. We have, managerial analytics, Nuvention. The Nuvention classes in particular are courses in entrepreneurship, but they focus on specific verticals. So I teach the Nuvention energy class, which focuses on clean tech energy and startups in that space. So you create a business, you build your business model canvas, you pitch your business, and in many cases, those businesses spin out from the class and become viable businesses outside in the wild. So we've seen a great number of teams and startups emanate from all of these Nuvention classes, but I'm particularly proud of the energy course. Of course, finally, electives. These are the electives that you have. You have 3 to choose from. You can take all of them inside MEM, or you can take some of them from, say, Kellogg or MSLOC or other professional master's programs. The ones I would definitely recommend from MEM would be either entrepreneurship or negotiations and business process change. Those, I think, are some of the more powerful electives that I think every MEM student should take if they have a chance. So this is how the whole thing looks like in perspective here. The 12 courses, 7 core, 2 AEM, 3 electives. We have 4 areas of concentration, right? Managerial analytics, project and process management, design and innovation. Product management, which used to be called design and innovation, and healthcare systems. So these are the 4. If you choose product management, for example, the courses you can take include the product management course I just mentioned, differentiation by design, product development, Nuvention, which we have at least a half a dozen of those courses. You're required to take, I believe it's 3 of these to form a concentration. So 3 courses within your area of concentration basically gives you that concentration area on your transcript. Okay, what else do we do outside of the class? So these are kind of co-curriculars. Workshops, for example, Certified Scrum Master, Certified Scrum Product Owner, CSM, CSPO. We bring that into the building. We outsource it to organizations that are expert in this field. And you come out with a certificate that will supplement your degree and hopefully make you more, even more attractive for companies that really focus on agile development. We believe that certainly gives you a competitive edge. We will certainly bring you a communications workshop as well, because a lot of students need help with either presentation skills or written skills or PowerPoint skills, technical communications in particular. From there, we also have site visits to companies like CTI, Motorola Mobility, UI Labs. We take tours throughout Chicago, 1871 Incubator, ISTP. So we try to network you into the fabric of working professionals in Chicago, right? Since you're a working professional yourself, you've had expertise or experience in the field, we're trying to connect you with people who are similarly experienced and perhaps even looking to hire somebody like yourself. So not only does it help you with jobs, but it helps you with your startup. If you're focused on doing a startup, you'll know that your network is key to understanding the ecosystem of the business. So this is our student body chart. It basically is data as of September 2020. You can see basically we've got roughly 73% male, 33% of our students already have advanced degrees. Like I said before, a third of our students or thereabouts are full-time, the rest are part-time. The average work experience is roughly 5 years. The breakdown, mostly mechanical with electrical and computer engineering kind of dominating the top. And then you've got chemical and biomedical, as well as automation as being kind of additional degree backgrounds that people have coming into MEM. So as engineers, we want you to embrace your engineering background, to leverage it along with your business skills that you'll get from MEM to pursue your future career. This is data from 2 years prior. This is the fall of 2018. You can see some slight shifts, but not too many. As I said before, we average between 50 and 100 students in MEM at one time. This is 82, 30, 36% of which were full-time, 64 part-time. We draw students from around the world, and we do this intentionally. We try to get people from India, Kazakhstan, Mexico, Pakistan, New Zealand, Peru, Panama, China, Chile, Austria, you name it. Not as many from Europe. We're starting to see some, a little bit more now from Central and South America. So I think you'll see a nice diverse group, which represents really the type of work experience you're likely to have in a multinational company. These are the types of companies that we've attracted in the past. Sargent Lundy is a big design firm in the city. They work with nuclear power plants, excellent company, and they've given us some excellent students over the years. GoGo Wireless, a local company that focuses on Wi-Fi. They basically design Wi-Fi systems and solutions for aircraft. So commercial aircraft like United Airlines will contract with GoGo to put Wi-Fi on their planes. Motorola has historically both businesses been headquartered in Chicago. They still are. So is Kraft, so is United, so is Wrigley, so is Baxter. So many of these companies have their headquarters right here in Chicago. Abbott Labs headquartered in Chicago, right? Pepsi has an excellent facility out in Barrington. So does Autodesk, GE, and UOP. So Medline's got a huge facility up in North Chicago. We've got Northrop Grumman, which is fundamentally their electronic systems division, or I think that's what they call it these days. Their countermeasures group is up in Rolling Meadows. So we've got, this is just kind of a cross section of the companies that have fed us candidates in the past or hire our students at the tail end, right? So either providing students or hiring our students. Speaking of hiring, what have been our outcomes? Everyone asks, well, how, what can I expect? Well, in June of 2020, we had 37 graduates from MEM. 20 were from December, 17 from June. 35 of the 37 as of June were gainfully employed. So I think that number is pretty close to 96%. And in fact, the remaining 2 had jobs within a few months of graduation. So you can see the types of titles they had, from product manager, sometimes known as business owner, to project and program manager, to business and product analyst, to supply chain manager, systems engineer, engineering manager, innovation director. Occasionally our students get a director job straight out of MEM. I've seen it happen a handful of times, but it does happen. The salary data, average starting salary for full-time is about $110,000. Again, over 90% employed 6 months after graduation. Again, a list of companies here I forgot to mention here, which is the location-based services company that supplies Mercedes-Benz and I believe Volkswagen as well, the whole Volkswagen group with location services using GPS technology. So they're headquartered here, Cognizant, McKinsey, Deloitte, et cetera. In terms of internships, a lot of you guys are going to be looking for internships. The average salary for the internship is around $31 per hour. And that, those looking for summer internships, 100% have found them in the past. And often that does kind of spill over into the fall. So again, another argument for the 15-month program. You take 1 or 2 classes your final fall and you're still working as an intern. So your internship can be not 3 months, but possibly 5 or 6 months, right? So it doubles your amount of time as an intern. On average, part-time students have seen a 20%, 27% growth in salary. So if they average 94 when they enter the program, by the time they graduate, they're easily at 124. So that's not that unusual. In fact, I've seen some students that are part-time get promoted 2 and 3 times during their MEM career. So the thing I like to hear the most is that what I learned in class last night, I was able to apply the next day on the job, right? And I hear that, I've heard that time and time again from students in various classes. In terms of career resources, we have the Engineering Career Development Office at McCormick. We have the Northwestern Career Advancement Organization, which covers the entire campus. We have resume reviews, advising sessions, career fairs, but networking is still the main recruitment method for MEM students. I'll give you one simple example. The football game, which is what we typically start every fall with in September. I introduced a student to one of our alumni who was looking to hire, and that person got a job almost directly as a result of just simply attending the football game and having an introduction to a hiring manager in a local company. So, and that person stayed with that company for like 4 or 5 years. But, you know, these networking opportunities, especially for, you know, career professionals, people who are experienced, right, are probably the single most important thing you can do to find a job in the US. One of our most famous alum is Iqbal Ashad. He was the former senior VP, Chief Technology Officer for global product development for Motorola, Google, and Lenovo. So he was at all 3 as the company itself, Motorola Mobility, moved its ownership from its you know, publicly traded to being a part of Google to being a part of Lenovo. What he says is he's been very fortunate to use everything that he's experienced at MEM throughout his career. And he's still on our advisory board. He's somebody you can network with today. He's somebody who's still actively involved in all sorts of startups in the space of telecommunications. These are the MEMPC schools. These universities represent the consortium of schools that focus on MEM and share marketing information, share other opportunities such as projects and job opportunities, alumni sessions across the consortium. So you'll get to meet the head of the consortium. That head will probably have at least 1, maybe 2 events throughout the year. Sometimes they're held in places like MIT's campus in Boston, or it'll be held occasionally places like Evanston, right here at Northwestern. So these are the schools. These are all basically the schools that teach some of the best MEM programs in the country. So one big difference between Northwestern and all these other schools is that we focus on an experienced student, right? These other schools generally do not. So if you're looking at us with 0 experience and you're anxious to get started, I would say you've got a long list of schools to choose from, different parts of the country and different areas of emphasis. So you'll be able to kind of focus in on whatever most interests you. In terms of getting into Northwestern, we require an undergrad technical engineering or science degree with a 3.0 GPA or better. That's in essence 3.0 out of 4. So that would be a B average, right? We are waiving GMAT and GRE for this next school year due to COVID. We're knowing full well that many students cannot access the testing regime because of COVID constraints. So we get it. And we're going to be waiving those scores for at least the next year. We require 3 letters of reference. Please get them from senior people. And please don't, at most, 1 from academia. We'd like to see at least 2 from people you've worked with in industry. And the more senior, the better, okay? We want a strong, concise, personal statement. I've seen people that got rejected in some cases because their personal statement was cut and paste, either too generic, or it referred to the wrong school or the wrong program. So please make sure this is tailored to our program and what we're looking for, okay? We want to see career progression, so you'll include your resume. We want to see that you have not stagnated and that you've worked in a technical field, that you haven't necessarily taken a business or sales role. You've taken something more technically oriented and challenging. You will be required to take probability and statistics. In fact, for this summer, it's starting in the next couple of weeks. So if you don't have this, you can always supplement it with our own course, no charge, offered every summer. A TOEFL score, if your undergrad schooling was not in English, your TOEFL score ideally would be greater than 100. And again, I mentioned the $50 fee, which is waived for being here today. And an interview is mostly required. So you'll probably be scheduled for that sometime after you submit your application. The deadlines. So if anyone's sitting here thinking full-time, I can start this fall, it's too late. We've already closed fall admissions for 21. We are now updating our websites. We'll be taking fall applications for 22, fall of 22, probably in the next month or so. If you're part-time, you should probably figure on basically getting your application in about 6 weeks before the class starts. So for fall, that would be right around August 1st for part-time students. So part-time students still have some time, and we have rolling admissions for part-time students, right? So if you can get yours maybe 6 to 8 weeks before the beginning of that quarter, the next quarter after fall would be winter. Winter quarter is January, first week of January. So back it off 60 days. First week in November would be the time to get us your application for a January 1st start. So that would be a winter quarter start. So we will get you answers, usually part-time students within 3 weeks of submission. Full-time students, we do it in batches. So you're not going to get a response to your fall application until probably sometime after the first of the year. This is us. This is a recent photograph of the graduating class. This was outside of the tech building. Hopefully you'll be part of this group one day. If this interests you at all, please seriously consider applying. We'll be glad to answer questions at this point if you have any. And I see that there have been some questions already in the chat box. Does anyone want to bring something up verbally? Lauren, how did I do? Is there anything I missed or anything that I should have covered more?
No, that was great. I'm answering some questions in the chat here. For example, is there a spring intake? And spring is only available for part-time students. Actually, I'll turn my video on. Hi, everyone. Full-time and international students must start in the fall. Part-time and domestic students can start in any quarter.
And the reason for that is the fall is when we actually hold our orientation, and that's also where we hold our 402 class, which is our gateway class. So it's to everyone's benefit. Oh, by the way, the international office is set up for fall starts. So literally, we're taking applications probably from August through April or May for the September start. And as a result, as we're sitting here in the middle of June, it's obviously a little bit too late for this fall for full-time students, but there's always next fall.
Yeah. In terms of average GRE scores, again, the GRE is going to be waived. So you don't have to worry about the GRE scores too much, but we typically have, and also GRE is only required for those who have have 3 or more years of work experience. But average scores usually in verbal, like in the 150s, and in analytical, usually like 160s.
Yeah, think of it this way. You should be in the top 20, maybe 25% of those taking the exam, right? But if you've got more than 3 years experience, you know, generally the GREs are not really going to help you much. We're not going to be looking at that. We're going to be looking at your experience, looking at your applications, looking at your GPA, but mostly recommendations, right? People are asking about CPT. So CPT is curricular practical training. It's part of the F1 visa process. So if you're planning to come to the program on an F1, you can start your CPT, which is your, think of it as an internship, right? You can get a paid internship off campus as early as winter quarter. So if you start in the fall, you'd have to complete usually one quarter of work, and then you can start part-time internships in January. So the advantage there is that because it's a technical discipline, and there's usually a lot of need right in the community, you can start taking your internship while you're still taking your classes. All of our classes are held at night, as I mentioned up front. So that makes it even easier to pursue an internship during the day, right? In terms of
Hi, Mark.
scholarship, go ahead, Sagar. I'm sorry.
Yes, can you just give more explanation on the curriculum part, like how, like you were saying that the 2 or 3 subjects we can take up in the fall, then two or three in the winter. Following that, you can take up 2 or 3 in the summer, and then the internship will carry on.
So yeah, let me just say that normally, if you want to finish in 9 months, you would take 4 classes per quarter.
Because I want to plan to graduate in a fall sem.
Okay, so then you're in the 15-month program. So you would probably start with 4 courses in the fall, and then you could take 3 classes in the winter, maybe 3 classes in the spring, and then you can take 2 classes in the final fall quarter and finish up at that point. So I would recommend probably 4, 3, 3, 2. That way, if you still have an internship, you're only taking 2 classes during your internship. So that's what I would recommend.
Okay, and another thing was regarding the letter of recommendations. So from who all are you expecting LORs? Like usually the college, the other universities, they take 2 from the academia and 1 from work LOR.
We're going to flip that. We flip that here. So we're going to want 2 from your work and 1 from academia. In fact, if you want to take all 3 from work, we're fine with that. But no more than 1 from academia. We want people who've worked with you, who can be specific, not generic, but specific about what you've done for the company or what you've done in your career. So
because of my experience, like going back to the college and getting LORs from professors in this time is a bit difficult in India.
Don't even go there. Then forget about them. Just go straight to your work and get 3 senior people at work to give you recommendation letters. You don't need to go back to your college unless you want to.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, no, it makes it easier for you. And frankly, we got senior people on our admissions committee, so they want to see your work experience. They want to see what your supervisors, more specifically, vice presidents, directors, CEOs, what they have to say about your progress as an engineer.
Mark, would you say that somebody maybe should ask somebody that they interned with, a company that they interned at, over their academic advisors, or rather an academic person?
That's a tough one, but I guess in general, if they've seen you at work and they have a good sense of your work, even after 3 months, then I'd say that that's probably a better bet. Because frankly, classroom is one thing, but we want to see you succeed in the workplace. And so we want people who've demonstrated some degree of that already. Other questions? I'll warn you now, for those who are not from Chicago, it gets cold here. So now it does get colder in Boston. So I would just recommend that you bring a heavy coat and get used to the cold while you're here. So, but other than that, we have beautiful springs and summer. In fact, today is 75 degrees Fahrenheit. It's probably one of the best days we've had in a long time.
So what is the average work experience you're considering from a candidate? Like, would 3 years do? Would 5 years do? Like, is there any specific number or?
Well, ideally, you'd have a minimum of 3 years. Now, if you can show 5, that's better. But frankly, 3 is the minimum we're looking for in general. Now, do we make exceptions? Do we occasionally look at people with 2 years plus internship? Yes, we've done that. But I think in general, a good target would be 3 years. By the way, did you notice in my metrics, I said the average was 5?
Yes, I did.
So
Yeah.
that tells you that 3 is kind of like the floor,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We're close to the floor, right?
So,
Shubham? I'm sorry, Shubham, did you have something or no? No? Okay. Sagar, I'm sorry.
Yes. So like now when I apply, I'll have around 3 years, 10 months or 4 years. So that would be good enough.
That's fine. In fact, even if you're a little bit short of 3 years, let's say you apply knowing that there's 4 months, 5 months before you'd come over, we can extrapolate to say, okay, you're going to have 4 more months of experience before you come over here. So if you were, let's say, 2 years and 8 months, as long as you're employed, we're going to assume that you're going to stay employed, right? So yeah, you're fine. You're over 3 years. So I think you're in good shape.
So, and
Yeah.
one more question regarding the part-time thing too. So,
ahead.
do part-time students get the same, like on their degrees, is it mentioned part-time or like, how is it? Just
Oh, everyone gets this. Once they graduate with an MEM degree, they're all the same. You can't tell
Okay.
part-time from full-time. We will know because of your academic records, whether you were part-time or full-time. We'll know in your transcripts, but you're not going to tell by the degree. It's all the same degree.
Okay. All right.
But recognize too, I'll be careful here, right? If you are a foreign student coming in or trying to come in on an F1 visa, you can only come in under those conditions as a full-time student. And as
Okay,
far as
so-
Northwestern's concerned, as far as we're concerned, we only want you to come in the fall.
Okay. So for international students, part-time is not an option then?
If you're here on another kind of visa,
Okay, for F1, right, it's not.
if you're here on an F1, the only F1 that's allowed is full-time study. Does that make sense? I know it sounds like a lot of rules, but bottom line,
Yes.
full-time
Yeah.
students, international students coming here on an F1 visa should plan to come in starting in the fall quarter. So the next fall would be fall of 22. You should plan on being a full-time student only. Full-time meaning that you're taking like 3 classes or more and per quarter, right? And you're going to finish your degree in either 9 or 15 months.
Sure. So you are the one who look at a degree, SOPs and LORs?
Yes, well, I'm not, I'm part of a committee. There's a whole admissions committee that does that.
Sure. So, thank you for clearing this out because
Sure.
I was considering part-time too. So now as an international student, I understand that.
Yeah, the only international folks that can do part-time are people who are here on some other visa. Let's say they're already here on an H-1B. Then they can study part-time.
Sir, I just wanted to confirm that if someone is planning for a career path in maybe consulting, so how will MEM be a proper degree for them?
For consulting?
Yeah, sir.
If most consulting roles out there are really in the realm of business consulting, right? My experience with most consulting firms is that they actually value an MBA more than an MEM. And if I saw in your introduction, your statement of purpose that you wanted to be a consultant, I would recommend you probably pursue an MBA.
Okay.
I hate to say that. I mean, I don't want you to, feel rejected.
I get the point. Actually, I was asking this because currently I'm doing an internship, like it's a consulting internship. So I'm quite liking that. So I thought that how was MEM required for that particular?
Well, I would run a simple experiment with your management, right? Ask them, which would you value more, a master's of business administration and a master's of engineering management? And let's assume they both came from the same school, Northwestern, MIT, Dartmouth, right? Which would they value more, the MEM or the MBA? Most consulting firms will probably say the MBA.
I mean, good firms like McKinsey, Deloitte, and all. Maybe they may be looking for. Okay.
The MEM is really more for those who are engineers or engineering practitioners, STEM practitioners that are looking to advance their career and staying somehow grounded in technology. Right?
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you too, consultants are often chasing the brand. So they'll say, look, we got so many MBAs from so many great schools, and that helps their clients feel justified in hiring them, right?
And what about the technical consultant, like for technical consulting?
There, I think you might have a good argument for going after an MEM degree. And there's all sorts of different types of technical consulting. I think, again, if you're going to work for somebody, you should ask them which one they would value the most. What
Okay,
you don't want to do is spend 2 or 3 years pursuing a master's degree, only to find that it wasn't valued by the company you work for.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. No,
That-
actually,
that-
the
that-
company.
that's true for everybody on this call. That's not just true for you. I mean, everyone who already has, if they're happy with their employer, they want to stay in that industry, they want to stay with that company. I want to make sure that this degree is valued by them, you should simply ask, right? Or you could look at the pedigrees of the people that are above you and then ask, okay, do they have technical masters? Do they have MBAs? And what's the ratio, right? What's going to propel your degree the fastest?
Okay. Yeah.
And that spirit of experimentation and data collection and asking these questions about, I guess, if you want to call them soft questions, right, about what propels your career, that spirit is really the spirit of many of the courses we teach, right? You shouldn't take my word for it because I'm not going to be the one hiring you. You should take the word of the people that are currently your boss or your future boss, right? Any other questions?
So I'm Mark, this is Amit. So I am working into consulting space. It is more of techno-commercial advisory, I must say. I generally advise banks on the viabilities of the project. So will I still be considered into an MEM with this techno-commercial background?
Yes, I think you would, because I mean, when you say techno-commercial, we would interpret that as maybe technology commercialization as a process, which is really in many ways similar to the new product or entrepreneurship process. There are many ways that we can help you become more expert at technology commercialization. We have partnerships with Invo, which is our technology commercialization office. We have excellent Nuvention courses that frankly are unparalleled. You're not going to find a school, even great schools like the MEMPC schools, very rarely will they have more than one entrepreneurship vertical. We're juggling 5. We have 5 entrepreneurship verticals, from medical to web to energy to transportation to analytics. So literally you can embellish your technology commercialization credentials through a program like MEM. But traditional consulting, I meant mostly business consulting, is probably not best served by an MEM degree.
All right. So when I say techno-commercial, it is more of evaluating a project from a technical perspective and then getting it into, in a financial perspective so that the end user can understand in his own language.
Sure. So
that
you're
is how I'm
talking
going.
about more or less technical due diligence, right?
Yeah. It's more of technical data diligence, yes.
Yeah, we don't have specific courses in that, but I don't think MBA programs do either. So if that's what you're talking about, is due diligence prior to maybe an acquisition? Is this anticipating
Right.
an acquisition or merger?
Right.
Yeah,
that's the broad idea about it. Yes.
and we don't teach M&A. So if you want courses specific to mergers and acquisitions, and you want to explore that in depth, an MBA might make more sense. If, however, you want to be more adept at technical due diligence, right? I think we are the place for that.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, it does help, Mark.
Okay.
So another thing, yeah. So somebody with the more years of experience on his resume would be looked at favorably rather
Yes.
than having
Yes.
somebody with lesser number of years there.
Yeah, I would say in general, sure. If you have more experience, yeah, you'd be viewed more favorably. But recognize too, if you have a strong GPA, if you've got strong letters, if the quality of your experience is very strong, but maybe it's a little bit limited, we'd certainly like to consider you, and you still have a good chance of getting in.
Okay, that helps me. Thank you.
Yeah. I see Vaibhav. Is that how you pronounce it? Vaibhav?
Yeah, Vaibhav. Hi, Mark. So I'm calling from India, and basically, I have experimented in my initial phase of my career, and like you mentioned, I heard that you prefer purely technical or engineering work experience, right? So basically, I'm a mechanical engineer, and I experimented with program management initially for a year, and then I was put into business to business marketing. And yeah, then again, I'm now into program management for an automotive firm. So I was wondering if if my experience, with my experience, you will suggest me applying. I mean, as a
Well, we
serious applicant.
normally consider program management kind of a form of technical management. First of all, you don't normally get program management in an MBA program. So you'll see it here. That was my background. So I think we would look at it favorably as something that is, more or less it's a technical background because you were managing technical projects, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds fine. Don't let that worry you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
If you're self-employed, I saw something about self-employed, right? You can always go to your clients and get letters of reference. If you're like an entrepreneur, maybe you can bring a partner if you have a partner, or if you have a senior principal involved in your business, you can bring those people in to do LORs. But clients are also very acceptable, especially if they've seen you at work, right? I apologize for the timing of this. It seems like most of our attendees are from overseas, and we scheduled this hoping that thinking we would get more local participation. So I recognize it's like 2 a.m. for many of you people. Any other questions?
Yes, Mark. So one more thing. So like now LORs from the 3 senior personnel. So like how will be vetting them? Like will you be going through their LinkedIn profiles or something, because they're not much active on LinkedIn. They do have their profiles, but they're not much active on that. So like how do you vet them? Like,
Well, you can send them an in-mail through LinkedIn, right? So that is one way to contact them. If you don't have their email addresses, more than likely it's because you haven't really kept in touch. So it's going to be difficult for you to ask somebody you haven't kept in touch with to do a letter for you. So I think you want somebody who's worked with you in the past, understands the value you brought to the organization, and that you're still somehow in touch with. So if not Facebook or LinkedIn, alumni databases, right? You can look people up through alumni databases.
so I'm in touch with them, but they are not so active on LinkedIn. So
Okay.
like university like might be checking them right on LinkedIn if with their position and everything, right?
Right.
So like if they're not active on LinkedIn, how do you verify them? That was my question.
How do we verify them?
Yes.
Well, we're going to ask for letterhead. So they're going to submit their letter of reference on letterhead. So if they're a university professor or if they're working in a company, we will see that it's legitimate letterhead.
Because like I work for Accenture, so like because of this COVID situation, they don't give like PDF form of letterheads. They directly print it out and give it to you, and we can directly print that and we scan it and send it to the universities. So
I think that's how it works, right, Lauren? Does that work okay?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
so
Yeah, if you can't get an original signed PDF, then you can certainly scan it and send it to us.
yes, so like like they're not allowing me to give the letterheads, but yeah, I can mail them on their official email IDs for their letter of references.
Okay.
So like will letterhead cause an issue for me?
If we can't verify them on LinkedIn and we can't verify them through a letterhead, then I think that would be a problem. You would need to get either one or the other, preferably the letterhead, frankly, because the letterhead is self-evident that this is coming from Accenture. It's got Accenture letterhead. If they don't allow that, then at least pick somebody who's on LinkedIn that shows that they work for Accenture.
Okay, yeah, that would do, but their profile is not so updated. Like
Right.
like they have like around 15-20 years of experience, so like they're not much updated on LinkedIn. That
Well,
was my
if it shows that they're at Accenture, that's all that
yes.
matters. That's all.
Yeah, they are at Accenture. Yeah,
That's all that matters. Yeah.
okay.
Okay, any other questions? I know we're getting very close to 2 o'clock. Hopefully we got all your questions answered. We are available to answer your questions by email. Recognize that, probably for the fall of 22, we won't really be looking at applications for several months. So if you're a full-time candidate, you're thinking fall of 22, take your time, really put together a good package. If your GRE, if your your TOEFL scores are low, then consider retaking TOEFL. If you have poor letters, get some better letters, right? Use your time to improve your package before you submit it, and then maybe target like September, October to get it submitted.
Hello?
Sir, I just want to confirm. Okay, you can continue, I think.
Yeah, hi, I just had one question. So
Sure.
I have done engineering followed by MBA in finance. So I wanted to know whether you would recommend MEM for a person with my qualifications. And post MBA finance, I have about 3.5 years of experience in the same field of finance.
I guess I'd have to ask what your career objective is.
Like someone else mentioned earlier, even I was looking towards a career in consulting.
If it's technical consulting, if it's consulting on technical due diligence, if you want to leverage your technical background, then I would think an MEM makes sense. But if you're going to pursue a career in banking or finance, I would say an MEM doesn't make sense. If you have an MBA, and oh, by the way, we've had several MBAs in the past who took MEM and found it valuable. But you might also find that there's some overlap between what you had in MEM and what you had in your MBA. So you have to really ask yourself, where do you want to take this? Do you want to use this as an opportunity to bring yourself a new career, maybe to a different location?
Yes, I am
different
open to change in my career. I'm definitely open for a change. That is why I wanted to know whether you would recommend it to someone with a background like me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, just because you have an MBA does not preclude you from doing an MEM. And we will certainly try to tailor the program so that it maximizes the value to you.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, as I was telling, I was just wanted to ask that I'm currently doing my bachelor's BTech in computer science engineering. So, will TOEFL be needed for my application?
Was your undergrad in English?
Yeah, it's in English. I'm from India, so it's in English.
If it's an English-speaking school, I believe they don't need a TOEFL, right, Lauren?
Okay, yeah, you mean English in what sense? We obviously write our papers and all examinations in English, and the mode of communication is also English.
Students who are applying from India still have to submit TOEFL or IELTS scores, no matter whether your instruction was in English or not.
Okay, from India you have to do. Okay.
Yes.
So did
So
Northwestern?
is there a
Go ahead.
So
Sorry.
is there a preference between TOEFL and IELTS, or both are valued equally there?
They're both fine. We tend to see more TOEFL, but either one is fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, I came in late. Basically, I came from this with the speaking and also with the answering of questions.
Right.
I just want to know, do you have satellite classes? I'm in Michigan, so I didn't get to hear how the program actually.
So in general, the program is an on-ground program. We are going to be offering some online options next year.
Okay.
But if it depends, are you going to be able to come to the classroom at all, ever?
Probably not. So that's what I just came in on the last minute of this. So just sitting in listening to you guys. So I thought that most of the classes maybe with Zoom or something. But yeah, probably not.
I mean, we
Yeah.
do have occasional classes on Saturdays where, I mean, maybe it's possible you can get here on a Saturday. What part of Michigan? What part of Michigan are you from?
I'm actually from Detroit, so it wouldn't take long. It'd be like 4-hour drive
Okay,
probably to get there. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So,
Well,
I
look,
was-
Vicky, we're certainly open to entertaining your application. I mean, we're trying to evolve to a hybrid form of delivery. So what that
Okay.
means is we're going to dominate in the classroom and have remote students supported through Zoom or some other technology, probably Zoom. And
Okay.
you'll be able to interact with the class that way. So if that works for you for an entire degree,
Right.
we're certainly open to having you apply.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. That sounds great. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
No problem. I know that there aren't many MEM programs in the Midwest, right?
Right.
Most of
Right,
them
there
are on the
are.
East Coast. And frankly, most of them, if you're going to be remote, they're not going to be that much different from what I just described, right? I mean, Duke has a remote program, but it's
Right.
similar to what I just described. So,
Right. Right. All right. Well, thank you so much.
sure.
That
No
sounds
problem.
good. Thank you.
So can you explain more about the workshops which you were explaining about, the CSM ones?
Oh, yes, Certified Scrum Master. So
Yes.
I think you have 3-day workshops, usually held over a weekend, usually face-to-face, but we bring in people from the Scrum Alliance. They have the ability to certify you. So they'll deliver content, work through some exercises, and then administer an exam at the end. And if you pass the exam, you're a certified Scrum Master. So the only advantage that we have is that because of our relationship, they give us a tremendous discount. So it's like an 80% discount. So instead of spending $2,000 for the workshop, most students are spending closer to $200 or $300.
That's great. That's great.
I have a question.
Sure.
So I'm doing my computer science engineering right now, and will an LOR from the place where I'm interning will have more value, or the LOR from a professor will have a more value? I'm interning on product management, so which one will have more value?
I think the current job you have and any company you've worked for would be stronger than an academic one. So,
Okay, okay,
but since you need 3,
Yeah.
feel free to bring in 1 from your academic background.
okay, okay. Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, everyone. If you have any other questions, please email us at mem@northwestern.edu. That's the best place to get a hold of us. Calling us right now doesn't work. We're not really in the office, but emailing us is great.
I'm going to be posting this video on the YouTube channel for Northwestern MEM. So search for that, look at that. We have many other good videos up there, but this video should be loaded probably in the next 24 to 48 hours. Okay.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Lauren. It was a wonderful session by you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you so
Thanks for
much.
dialing in. Bye-bye.
Do look out for me.